Well, hello everyone. Happy Wednesday. I'm excited. I am so excited. We are going to do a box opening. And this is this is round 2 actually of the Nutty Squirrels of the Oakwood Forest. This is the manufacturer's proof that gets sent to us. This is the last step you have to sign off before you go into full production. So this is where you really want to make sure you catch anything that's going to go wrong. And so I got a proof about, it's got to be at least 2.5 weeks ago now. And there was a lot of things wrong. And the video's on YouTube. If you go through our channel, you'll find it. There was a lot of stuff wrong. So we had a great discussion with the manufacturer. They've assured us everything's rectified. We had to send new files in some cases just to make it easier to keep things straight on their side. And so today we're going to open this up live, and I'm going to smile regardless of whether there's issues or not. Also, for those who follow our Board Game Binge podcast, that's the Board Game Binge podcast. Tomorrow we're talking with Alex Schmidt and Jamie Stegmeyer, co-developers of Red Rising. And that's going to be a fun interview. I can't wait. I'm really excited. Those who of you probably know Jamie Stegmeyer is the founder of Stonemeyer Games. They've done Scythe. They've done just a ton of stuff. They published Wingspan is another one that they published. They've just done a lot of great stuff, and the interview is going to go by fast. We only got 30 minutes, but it's going to be fun. So I can't wait. Join us tomorrow, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Board Game Binge podcast on our YouTube channel. Or if you want to catch the audio afterwards, go to wherever you download your audio podcasts and simply type in Board Game Binge, and you'll find it. Okay, let's not delay this any further. Let's get into this. This literally arrived at my door like 20 minutes ago. So I am pumped. Okay, I'm going to do the box opening cam. How about that? All right, so JT Smith kind of suggested this after I did a box opening of his, some stuff I got from the Game Crafter where I had to hold up to the camera, and it was just kind of a crappy box opening. So again, folks, always be careful when you open up your box, because if you run scissors across the top, you run the risk of damaging whatever's on the inside. And I've done that myself. I've made that mistake. And you only make that mistake once. So lots of care. Keep this mic out of the way. All right. I'm like actually nervous opening this. Keep that. I always love to keep this bubble stuff because we're always shipping stuff out. And you can never have too much bubble wrap around you. So this is literally one copy of the game. Is there anything else in this box? No, that's the rest of the box. Okay. This is now the moment we've been waiting for as I gingerly cut this open. I'm going to cover off the things I'm going to be looking for. Hopefully you find this interesting. This is the kind of stuff I used to watch when I first got into game publishing myself, because I wanted to kind of see what are some of the steps that other people are doing. And some of this I knew from my past history and just doing product development in both the food and supplement industry. But for the board game industry, it was kind of a new ball of wax for me. So far, so good. It's looking slick. I'm so afraid of damaging something here. Eesh. Well, they certainly packed it well. And it's amazing how messed up the shipping is right now worldwide. So I got an email from them last night. I said, hey, is there a tracking number that you guys can send me? And they responded back saying they're still waiting for FedEx to let them know where it is. And on their side, they hadn't even shown it left the country yet. And then lo and behold, it's at my door today. So, all right. That is one sexy package. I love it. Okay, so first impressions. I can see that they use the new artwork, which is great. Check all sides, make sure nothing is slipped. This is one of the issues we had. Sorry, I paused as I'm just thinking here. Yeah, one of the issues we had with the first round that came was there was a lot of slipping of the artwork. So I could tell just by looking at the finished thing that it's like, That's not how I provide the file. Something's happening on their end where something is like shifting. So all this artwork is like layers, right? So this squirrel right here is one layer. You know, there's the background's another layer. So if that squirrel is not where he should be, then somehow on their end, when they're moving their files around, they shifted a layer. They moved a layer at its spot. I can see ever so slightly on the tail here of the baby squirrel. Still isn't fully perfect around that tree stump. But again, it's so subtle that I would probably let that go. If this is the mass production. On this one, I'm actually going to ask him to adjust that. I absolutely hate that. I know I talked about that last time. It drives me bonkers when there's... I'd be interested to hear from other people. Do people flip games over this way and then read the instructions, or do they kind of flip them this way? I like to flip them this way. So I always love to have the box in the back oriented the same way. This does not have the plastic insert yet. Okay. That is what I like to see. For example, this is what we had last round, which the large nest doesn't really bother me. The one thing that I took this opportunity, since we had to fix it anyways, is what did bug me is the fact that these leaves were larger than the leaves on the side. And for me, it didn't really blend nicely. Where this, it kind of blends nicer. So I like that. But what did bug me the last time, let's see if I can get the angle right. No, this way. Is like there's white in along here. So again, artwork shifted, and I could tell right away because there should never be any white on the inside of this box. Should never show. There should be graphics, or if there's no leaves, there should be green, but there should never be white. So that was on their end. Issues with them, how they cut the artwork before they glued it in. Maybe the artwork shifted. I wasn't really sure, but that's something we need to rectify. Certainly the nest in the center wasn't centered, so I could tell right away that this piece had shifted a bit too. So we use it as an opportunity to rework it. So we've got this now, which looks awesome. I love it. I'm going to get to the book last, because that's the one where live on air I almost lost my mind last time. But I lost my mind. I paused and just reflected, but that was my version of losing my mind. Okay, so the base of the box, which is quite frankly going to be covered from the tray with the tray, but we've got graphics on the inside of the box too, which is cool. The bottom. Get into these cards in a second. Okay, that's awesome. So one thing last time too is they had the lines. So we have what's called a die line that basically tells, you know, the machine when they lay out kind of the things that are going to do the cuts for you. It tells where the cuts are going to go. But once you get that all set up, you turn that layer off your artwork. You don't actually print the lines on your artwork because you get things like this where you've got the lines actually showing if you don't cut on the inside of the line. So that was really bad. So they fixed that. And I said, while you guys are at it, I mean, it's just not great having this white on the other side. I mean, we never spec'd it any differently, but I said, is it possible for us to do double-sided? And they said yes. So I actually think that's awesome. So now we got double-sided centerpiece. So that's check mark number 2. Love it. Player boards. Oh my God. All right. So there's going to be a bit of a pass here because these are hand glued. Okay, so you're not using a machine, so it's not going to be as precise. But God, you know, I want them to be perfect when they arrive. Okay, so here's the prior example. One thing I noticed when I had the prior example is when I would angle it, there was like all these little dots that were showing up from like a delamination standpoint. So I can see this is linen finish. This is not linen finish. This is just straight up varnished. So I imagine they did that because they knew I would pick away at the fact that there's these bubbles here, but still, that's something I got to fix. Next, I noticed that the boards were actually thinner than the original samples that we had. So I said, guys, can you double check the thickness? These are now thicker, more meaty, weigh a lot, got a better weight to them. I mean, that's going to kill me on the shipping side, but they give some more weight to them. So they do come across a little more substantial, which is awesome. Glad they fixed that. The other thing, we got the cutouts on the back, which allows you to slide the cards. These cards kind of slide in each of these slots when it's flat on the table, so you don't have to keep lifting your board up and down. Love that. They are kind of chewed up a bit, which I'm not super happy with, but again, I know that those were hand cut. So The challenge is it makes me nervous, right? Because you say, okay, yes, they were made by hand. And then they say, well, trust us. It'll be fine when we do the full manufacturing. The problem, if you just trust them, is then once you produce 1,000 games, you got your 1,000. You get what you get at that point. And them rectifying, from my experience in the past, is typically, oh, well, we'll fix it on your next run, or we'll give you credit on your next run. But it doesn't help the people that you're trying to ship these games to. So for me, I just want this to be just the highest level of quality. What I do see right away, though, is it does not look like the artwork is shifted underneath, because that was one thing that was really frustrating me, is that they even came in that shape where they had one of the player boards. I think I might have it over here. Let's see if I can find it. Oh, yeah. So this is the player board. See if I can hold this up to the camera. So you can see that. So the artwork on the inside layer isn't lined up properly. So it looks like the guy's got something wrong with his cheek. Like the artwork is not, the inside layer is supposed to be lined up with the outside layer, right? So that when you look in it, the art kind of continues. In this case, they didn't, they shifted. Even the nest isn't centered in the middle. And to me, it wasn't that it was a hand done sample. I mean, you're going to have things like that happen with handmade samples. It was the fact that they still shipped it when you're getting one of each of these. So you think somebody would look at the piece before they put it in the box. So that's what got me really, really nervous. And I expressed that to the manufacturer. I said, look, you guys are making me really nervous about this production run, because if you're sending one sample to me and people aren't making sure just the proper quality is going in the box, then what's going to happen when we do the mass production? So again, that was something that I was concerned about. So in terms of these player boards, they fixed it. The font, they had the wrong font as well. I mean, it's a 2, which is fine, but the 2 that it kept defaulting to on their board didn't actually look like a 2. So they fixed that. So overall, I'll give them another check mark. They've fixed the thickness, they fixed the font, they fixed the alignment of the graphics. The only part I'm a little concerned about, so for instance, say you wanted to use these for photography, you could not use these for photography unless you were doing substantial like post-edit cleanup. So if I look at these boards, if you look at the base here, it's chewed up there, it's chewed up there, it's chewed up there, it's chewed up there, it's chewed up there. It is entirely possible that this happened during transport. And as these things were kind of in the box loosely bouncing around, they kind of knocked into each other. I'm hoping they took pictures before they actually sent them. That would help. But I think I did notice from some of the photos, I think they did send me a photo actually. And I remember I pointed out one thing saying, hey, that board looks a little chewed up there. So we are not going to just let this ride. We are going to chat about it and see if we can find a solution. What I do think I really like is the prior boards, the soft touch, that's not it here, here it is here. The soft touch texture and that matte finish is really, really nice. The newer boards, still nice, but I like the matte finish is better. The linen finish is better, obviously. We just need it to be this thick and have the graphics properly lined up. So that is that. So I'm not, there's discussion points, but I'm not disappointed. It's something that I would kind of expect to happen. Back of the box. Looks great. Actually caught that for some reason there was like a separate solo mode is also included, was missing off our last proof. That was my fault. So, those things where you're kind of glad you can actually make the edits along the way, because that was something I was like, that would have been bad had that to slip through. You get what's called copy blind. You start looking at something so much, your brain will just fill in the details and tell you that those details are there when they may not be. So, all right, let's move on to the booklet. I'm sure it's fine because this was like a half hour of our discussion after the last proof was on this. Okay, so I'm going to show you where my issue was on the last book. So here's the book. And as you flick through, the way we designed is we wanted it when you got halfway through, it then to be upside down and reversed, so that when you flip the book over, you could then, with the French language, start looking through the book left to right as well. They didn't do that. They did it left to right, both English and French, continuous in the book, which At the time, I expressed frustration because I had actually created videos and everything to make sure it was crystal clear of what that issue was, but things happen. So here is the revised. So I'm going to flip it like this. Look at that. Wow. English, flip through. And you get to the middle part. That's a shared page. And then the French, which, ooh, that's not good. There's like a line right through there. We're going to find out why that's there. Probably because it's a digital copy, but we'll just make note of it. It comes through the other side. That's awesome. That's exactly what I wanted. I am very, very happy to see that that was finally figured out. What's interesting when you do these book layouts too is if you're stapling them, they have to be in increments of 4 pages. Because when you staple these things together, you have one page, and then the underside of these 2 pages is 2 more pages. So that's 4 pages. So every time you need to add more pages to your book, you're adding in increments of 4 so that it properly opens and closes like this. We're going through that right now in another game called Hamsters versus Hippos. I'm putting a link in the show notes here as well, that if you want to check out down below in the comments, there's a link to our Hamsters versus Hippos game. Love it if you guys would actually follow that link to the Kickstarter page, click follow, and then when we go live, you'll get some more information on that. We're going to start spreading some more information on that in the coming months. Great game with James Freeman. What a great guy. And we took his quirky nature and had that spread all the way through in his game, which I thought was awesome. Let me do this other book here real quick. Oh, this one too. Look at that. Woohoo! So that's probably my miss. I could probably fix that. So I just noticed the color here is not the same. No, right here. Color here is not the same as the color here. Again, not the end of the world. But if we have an opportunity to fix it before we go to print, I'm going to do that. So what this is, and this is really exciting for our backers, is we had some backers that were very generous to help us with our translation into Spanish, into German. So what we did is we took some of our funds and said, you know what, for our European backers, yes, we'd offer to do a digital book for those people. We're actually going to provide them a printed book. So with their kit is actually going to be a separate book that's going to be included with that. And so our European backers are going to get this in their native language, and all the game components will be in their native language, which I think is really awesome and really exciting. You can see there's a barcode down here. The reason we did the barcode is that when you use a pick and pack facility like a Games Quest or a Quartermaster Logistics or one of these guys, any component that they need to kind of pick, they call them pick and pack, so they pick up the different components, put them into a box and ship it to the consumer. It's very difficult for them to do that if something that they have to kind of count and put in that box does not have a scannable code. Scannable code allows them then to keep track in their inventory system as to how many pieces are remaining. When they take a piece and put it with that order, then they have tracking all the way through their systems to show, okay, that piece went with that order and here's how many pieces are left. So it's very, very important to have that for extra pieces. We have something we had an add-on with these plastic custom acorn pieces for some people to buy if they wanted. Even that little baggie has to come with a barcode on it so that our fulfillment partners can properly scan and code it and just make their job easier. In some cases, they won't even accept pieces unless they have a code on it. So very, very important. So that's why we did that. Love it. Very excited about that book. The cards. All right. So 2 things I could have mentioned. One is these are in baggies. So after the last one too, they had a tight elastic band around the cards. It just absolutely chewed up the cards. So again, I said, guys, please, I'm begging you, anytime, even if you're sending me a sample, please do not use elastic bands. It damages the cards. And I mean, quite frankly, I can use these for photography, right? If I want to do some game photography prior to us actually getting the full games. It's tough to do that if you got all these indents and stuff in your cards from elastic bands. A lot of people actually spend money on sleeves to properly sleeve their cards. So you just want to treat them properly. And yeah, it drives me a little bananas, so to speak, if there's elastic bands on these. So 2 little bags. This one little bag is reference cards, which we also did in multiple languages. So this is in English, French, German, Spanish, and Italian reference cards, which will go with every game. So I'll toss them out if you throw them in the recycling bin if it's not in your language. But again, as a service to our backers, we want them to have, pull up the game and not have to go on their phone and kind of do the translation. That, all the game components are unilingual. Most pieces just are images. They don't have writing. Anything with writing, we want to have multiple languages, again, as a service to our backers. And then the actual cards. So they were hand cut last time, and man, they were not hand cut well. So that's another thing that we talked about. We said, guys, like, these cards look pretty rough when we received them. So these ones are cut a little bit better. Looks like they used probably an older machine to cut these out. You can kind of tell because I can see where that little hook is there. These will be done, obviously, much, much cleaner when it comes time to the final cards. They're fairly thick, which is nice. I like that. They are not linen finish. So that's another note I will make when I reach out to them. I'll just say, hey guys, again, great work. Thank you for, quite frankly, taking all the feedback that we had from the last time. We see this as a long-term partnership. Quite frankly, we're probably using these guys for hamsters versus hippos. Their pricing was just great, very responsive. Customer service is fantastic. So we'll probably use them for hamsters versus hippos. That final decision will be made in the next 24 hours. So that's why we like to have these ongoing dialogues about how can we improve quality going forward? How can we get them aligned with kind of what our expectations are for our games? So in some cases, I've seen samples in the past from some manufacturers. I had one, I think it was yesterday. I was looking at a game. I can't remember the name of the game. It had linen finish, but linen finish was only on one side of the card. You flip the card over, the other side of the card was not linen finish, which kind of looked odd. So little things like that, right? So in this case, we've got the cards. They're cut out properly. They look nice. The artwork is fantastic, but they're not linen finished in the proof, which is fine. But the final thing has to have the linen finish. So there we are. That, my friends, is the box opening of Nutty Squirrels of the Oakwood Forest. That was, 22 minutes long. I know I rambled a bit there. Had key learnings, I think, coming out of this. One, cards, linen finish on that. The boards, linen finish. We got to make sure they're doing that and make sure they're not getting chewed up like these ones are. Again, I'm pretty sure that's predominantly through transportation. The books look great. I'm glad we finally got to the right spot. We're going to change the color on that one title. Again, it's a non-issue, but hey, if we can make the change, why not make it? And I think that was pretty much all the edits we had. Everything else looks like it's ready to go. So I think we're pretty much ready to go to full manufacturing on this. In terms of timelines, we had scheduled to have this go out in September. So we'd go to our fulfillment centers who would then start shipping it out in September. Probably looking at the end of September at this point. Hopefully, fingers crossed, globally, some of these shipping issues can be worked out. I know we're still waiting for the molds on these custom acorns, which is something we added during our campaign. So it did delay things a few weeks. But I think we're still going to be in around the end of September for this fulfillment, which has been pretty fast turnaround. You got to think we just literally finished our campaign this spring. So I think a lesson learned for me in the future is I'll probably pick longer lead times. And then it's always better to deliver early, obviously, than to deliver late. So anyways, guys, that's all I got for you. Please, down below, if you are interested in this game, if it looks something like something you want to play, click on the link. It's not too late to back. You can do a late pledge. And likewise, if you want to follow our next game, which is hamsters versus hippos, I would love it if you guys would